Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Oh, sorry about that. No sound? Oh, you can hear now. Okay. Almost had a heart attack. Well, there's still a lag, so I'm trying to figure out if I can also see the comments in Facebook because StreamYard is slow in general. Okay. Thanks for being patient. So I've invited Caffeine Q to come join us, and I was going to have kind of like an open discussion today just about the documentary and the case in general, and kind of like the circus that has been going on since the release of the documentary. So that's why we're here. I can't go on YouTube yet. Hopefully, I should be able to go back there on Monday. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, I'm just waiting for Caffeine Q. How's everyone doing? What do you guys think of the documentary? I have a lot of thoughts. Too many. Hi, Teresa. This is really awkward. I'm not used to Facebook. Yeah, I figured, you know what? I'm tired of not being able to communicate. So Diane says old news. Yeah, we've seen that footage hundreds of times, probably. It's been so long. That's right, Allie. I don't even know how to behave anymore. So, hi, Robin. Hi, Sam. Oh, I typically don't like when people keep saying hi to everyone for the first like hour of the live, but here I am. It's hard not to, especially that we've all gotten to know each other basically through this Watts circus. Yeah, it is. I agree. I don't know if Deja has forgotten or where she is. Yeah. I'll just start talking, I guess. So I'll give you my thoughts. Hi, Faith. Yes. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that you were dealing with a tragedy yourself. Um, but yeah, so the documentary I thought it was done well. I think the production of it was great. I think the information in the documentary that we've seen is, we've seen it hundreds of times, and it's just clearer and sounds better, and we did see a couple of new text messages. Oh, sorry. I think I just heard from Caffeine Q. So we did see a couple of new text messages that Shanann sent to Chris and vice versa. And we also saw an actual screenshot of her bank statement where the $63 charge was. Oh, yay. Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Let me mute this.
Can everyone else hear Deja?
You hear me now? Still hear
Yeah,
me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. So we kind of decided, well, impulsively to try this Facebook Live. And I just kind of started talking about the documentary and my thoughts on it. And I was,
Mm-hmm.
so I was saying, like, we've pretty much seen everything with the exception of several text messages and an actual screenshot of the $63 salmon dinner. And I found interesting that there was a charge at Home Depot on there as well. And it was one of the Home Depots that we had gotten footage from. So we were talking about having to go through all of that footage to see if we can spot anything on the cameras or anything, either someone coming or going. But there definitely is a charge from Home Depot. So
Okay.
that's kind of like an overview, my personal opinion and thoughts about the documentary. I think honestly it's a glorified YouTube video. you know,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, we've been dissecting every detail in this case for a long time, and I think that a couple of us YouTubers put God knows how many hours into researching this case with the information that we have, because there's a lot. So for me, I think it took a couple of months to just get through the discovery in a way that I can understand and kind of tell the story. I let the evidence tell the story, basically. So I think this documentary included nothing that you can't find on YouTube. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Deja?
On the documentary,
Yeah.
I didn't see anything different other than, the home videos
Hmm.
that we had not seen. Uh, the text messages, I had saw those before. I don't know where I ran across those, but I did see those text messages, and I was surprised that they put those text messages in the documentary. I thought those text messages were very personal. And I felt like globally, we did not need to see those text messages. Other than that, I didn't see anything that I had not seen before. And I haven't looked at everything and I haven't seen everything because I've only been introduced to this case now 9 months. I
Hmm.
came in with the Lifetime movie,
Okay.
and you guys been here for 2 years, so you've seen way more
Girl,
than
it's been a long 2 years, let
yes,
me tell you.
way more. And I mean, just looking at what the Netflix documentary has brought in, like this overflow, I feel overloaded. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yes,
And
I
just
feel exhausted.
Yeah, so just to think you all been here for 2 years and been dealing with this. But from my perspective, I didn't see anything that I had not seen before other than the home videos and the text messages. Like I said, I did see those and I was very shocked that those text messages was placed in a documentary for it to be globally shown around the world.
Yeah, and just before we came on live, I actually watched a brief interview of the director of the documentary. And she was responding to a question about the information, where she got the content. And she said that, you know, the Rusek family were kind enough to host them and let them have access to
I
Shanann.
heard that too. Yes, I didn't
Yeah.
hear all of it, but I did hear that she said that she had access to Shanann's phone and her laptop.
And
Yes.
she also said that it was a Pandora's box of information,
Okay.
and that it took them a while to go through all of that information, and that she chose carefully the footage, the text messages, the lives, that she would include, that she thought would be important.
Hmm.
So when she said that, I couldn't help but think of Chris is doing a push-up challenge instead of ducking me, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know that that would be necessary, like you said, to show.
Yeah, I felt like it wasn't. I felt like it was just too personal. The conversation she was having with that Christina, it was.
Well,
Yeah.
she's had conversations like that with all of her friends.
Yes.
So, but the point is, having been on the case for 2 years,
Hmm.
I know the rest of the text messages that weren't shown, and I can think of a couple that would have been more appropriate and that would have also communicated the level of desperation that Shanann was feeling at the time without having to be graphic.
Exactly. I think that yes, the graphicness of the text messages is what shocked me. Also, I think that shocked me more than anything, how graphic it was and how personal it was. That what she was saying, I'm quite sure that if she was here and she saw that, she would have been mortified to see her text messages on a documentary for the whole entire world to see.
Yeah, it was. And you know, as YouTubers and as just members of this true crime community, we've been around the case long enough to know what's kind of below the surface of the
Hmm.
documentary. And
Hmm.
I think the filmmaker didn't necessarily focus on the crime as much, but
Right.
more so on giving Shanann a voice and for Shanann to be able to tell her own story. And at the same time, I think it's supposed to be, you know, that one documentary that the family kind of approves of and,
Hmm.
you know, gave their blessing. And I watched it with my sister and my brother-in-law, and he has no idea about the case. He
Hmm.
knows that we are nuts in terms of our research and everything. But he actually had, you know, he didn't know. So this was his first exposure, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to, you know, just hear his thoughts as a neutral observer.
Hmm.
And by the end of the documentary, you know, he kind of brought that up. He said, you know, that was kind of in poor taste to,
Hmm.
you know, just show her as this kind of like desperate wife. And
Yes.
another thing that he also observed was that he thought she was bossy,
Hmm.
and she is. So,
Yes.
you know, so so I don't know if I don't know exactly what the family hoped this documentary would accomplish, but I don't think it accomplished what they have been trying to communicate to the world for the last year and a half, and that is to stop talking about the case. Because
Exactly. It brought
yeah,
more people into the case. I mean, way more people than the Lifetime documentary movie brought in. I mean, you just see it everywhere now. So many people are talking about this again. And if you're saying that you want people to stop talking about the case, you want to live your lives and you want this to die down, well, the documentary did the opposite of that. It brought in people who had never. I'm seeing people on my friends lists saying, "Wow, have you seen this?" And I'm not saying anything.
yeah,
I'm like
yes.
quiet,
I have
seeing
to
what
keep
they're gonna
scrolling.
say.
I have to
Yes.
keep scrolling, girl, because it's hard. It's hard not to. And thankfully our group name doesn't have the name Watts in it,
I
so we've
know.
dodged that whole
Exactly. I'm like,
bullet.
oh my goodness, they watched the documentary, but I know most of my friends have Netflix and I'm seeing them talking about it. I'm staying quiet, just watching what they're saying. It was like, girl, did you see this? Did you, oh my goodness, I've never heard of this case before. And I know that's true because
Mhm.
no one that I knew personally had heard about the Watts case. Now they all know about it because of
Yes.
Netflix.
Yes, exactly. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, what was the point then of the 1.5 year campaign to
I know.
stop the,
I don't
talking?
understand it.
I don't either. And that's problematic for me because I have been subjected to harassment for a 1.5 years because I wouldn't stop talking about the
Yes, you
case.
have. Yes, you
And
have.
so now this documentary turned back the clock 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, and it's starting all over again. All the same stuff that we've already been through a million times and have accepted as a community as part of the truth of the case, because a lot of the details and a lot of the contextual stuff is also outside of the discovery.
Hmm.
So, Teresa,
Teresa, you should come on.
girl,
Yes,
yes.
but it's an overload. I mean, like I said, I've only been here for 9 months and it's an overload for me. I mean, some stuff I'm like, oh, no, I can't.
Understanding.
I can't answer that. I just can't touch that. And then I go on YouTube and it's the same thing. So a lot of times I just sit there and just watch people, new people come in and saying things that I saw when I came in with the Lifetime movie, but worse. But
Mm-hmm.
worse. I mean, they've brought in an influx of people who are so emotionally charged about what they saw on this Netflix documentary. And
Mm-hmm.
I've even seen people, oh my goodness, like 4 days, they've gone through the discovery and now they've become
Yeah,
experts on this case. You know,
it's hilarious.
it is. It absolutely is funny. And
It's
it's like,
hilarious.
I just will not entertain emotionally charged people. I can't do it. It's too much for me. So I can imagine what you guys have gone through. I'm like, oh, God bless you. God bless you guys. Because I don't know. I would have probably they talk about the patch and Nicole Kissinger hair. Oh, my hair probably would have been gone by now.
There are still remnants of the conspiracies that I like to think back on every now and then. And the
Well, I
first,
saw one today. I saw one today. Remember the one that comparing him to the BTK murderer because of his eyes? Because he has these beady eyes. So he's compared to the BTK murderer. I'm like, oh, good Lord.
hey, someone told me to go read the discovery. Like, girl, you must be lost.
Oh my goodness. You
But
have to laugh. You have to laugh
yeah,
so
and one
you will
one
not
of
get
the
angry about what you see.
one of the conspiracies that triggers me the most, I think all of them do now, because it's frustrating when you know the facts that are in in evidence,
Hmm.
and you get told that, well, it doesn't matter because look at my perspective, because my perspective matters over
Right,
yours.
right. Like the doll picture. I
Oh,
said, if I see one more doll picture, I'm going to
let me
scream.
tell you, I will unplug. I will scream if I see one more doll picture. It's
It's,
unbelievable.
it really is. It really is.
Yeah, one that I saw again recently was the mystery of the child in the book room, in the green room, when Coonrod was in there. What's that child doing? Is that a ghost? And it's like, well, if you actually watch the footage and if you read the discovery and if you read Coonrod's report, you would know that Nicole's daughter, like, you know. Now, the question that you should be asking is why are kids running around a crime scene? Granted, it wasn't a crime scene, but
Right.
as soon as you found that phone, girl, I would have been out of there, and I would have been like,
And
call
then the
the FBI right now.
that it was a wellness check. And I do know most wellness checks that I've heard of always ended up with the person being found deceased. So that was kind of scary to me to see that child all over the place and them all over the place, not knowing if it was a possibility that Shanann could have been upstairs deceased. The children could have been upstairs deceased. And this is what you walk into.
Right. And that's, look, watching that footage the first time was like an out of body experience almost, because you could feel every single emotion.
Yes.
Even though you know how it ends. I think the fact that it was all captured on
Every
video
single detail was captured
as it was happening.
as it was happening. Yes.
You know, and it's known that as people, as humans, we have this voyeuristic kind of tendency to want to like know the grotesque details and to know all the aspects of a story for our own reasons. But I just remember feeling every single emotion when I watched that the very first time. Now, well, not now, but just in general, my interest in true crime, I think, is focused around the criminal justice system and just a case in general, the details of the case and the investigation. What doesn't make sense here is not how did Chris kill Shanann? That's easy.
Yes.
You know, he strangled her, you know, but it's the other questions surrounding it, the circumstances surrounding the actual death and the murders leading up to and even after have not been dealt with competently.
No, they have not. Not at all. Not at all.
And so it's a little bit frustrating for me to.
Well, there's so much of an outburst, emotional outburst. Anytime someone says something about Shanann that doesn't fit what they feel like people should be saying, people just go crazy. They just go crazy. I mean, and none of us are perfect. So how in the world do you want to paint this picture that she was this perfect person when if you go to her Facebook Live, you will see her saying herself, you know, that she was the dominant person in the relationship. You know, she talks about Chris and, you know, even with the text messages, how, you know, maybe she is a little overbearing with him and, you know, maybe she doesn't allow him to do certain things, like he was complaining that saying that he couldn't even hang a picture on the wall. And he did express that he said that to her friends, you know, so she had started acknowledging that, you know, maybe I am a little overbearing. Maybe, you know, I have taken a lot of things away from him as a man that I shouldn't have. And when other people say this, the first thing people say, well, she didn't deserve to be murdered. And I'm like, people stop saying that. No one I have come across has ever said that Shanann deserved to be murdered. So why is that even in your dialogue? Why are you even saying that? Nobody is saying that she deserved to be murdered.
That's what I don't understand. Why go out of your way to join a true crime group?
Yes.
Where things like this are discussed, so that you can have an emotional outburst.
I know. I can't take that the emotional outburst with the people. I just cannot.
That's what saddens me, is that people sometimes tend to take it very personal.
Yes.
And they apply it to their own life.
That's what I'm noticing.
And
that's what I'm noticing.
That's a stressful life to live, to take on other people's tragedies and traumas.
Yeah, someone
and
you didn't know personally, you had no connection to, you don't even know anyone personally that were connected to them, and you have put all of these emotions into this case.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that. You've invested too much emotions in this. And time someone says Shanann
Mm-hmm.
and something that you feel is negative, people just blow up and get crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the like, if I have a personal investment in a character or in a person, any person involved in a crime, in this case, for example, whether it's Chris, whether it's NK, whether it's Shanann, if I have a personal dedication to keeping them bad in my eyes
Hmm.
by refusing anything that doesn't match my understanding of that person,
Hmm.
that's not looking at the situation in a balanced way.
No.
So you have to be able to keep your own reaction in check. Just
Yes.
because I'm not crying every day because Shanann is murdered doesn't mean that I think she deserved it,
Exactly. Exactly. And just
or
because
or
someone
anyone for
feels
that
like
matter.
that she was overbearing, you know, that doesn't mean that that they're saying that she deserved to be murdered. And it's like I said on in a comment on someone's YouTube, someone said, I'm like, can you please take that out of your sentence? Nobody has ever said that she deserved to be murdered. I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Of course she didn't deserve to be murdered, but she was not an angel. None of us are. None of us are angels. God forbid if something ever happened to me and I become a public case, the stuff that might come out. But I have to say, I would want people to be honest. I don't want no one glorifying me like I was this perfect person, because I'm not. I'm not a perfect person. So
You
how can
know,
we learn anything if we want to make it seem like Shanann was perfect?
it is literally a um I think it's we can draw a parallel to the documentary with this, because like everything in this case, it just appears that appearances are so important,
Mhm.
and everything is just kind of fake and not
Yeah,
real. And Shanann's whole online Facebook persona was her business.
it was.
It was
It
part of her
was.
business. I'm not saying that she didn't make friends and that she didn't um, gain new experiences.
Right.
And, you know, she did, of course. She earned money. She climbed the ladder. She worked hard for it. She did all of those things. And it was also her business.
Right.
And I think it wasn't as successful as it appeared,
No.
especially when you saw the contrast between, in the documentary, for example, between what she's saying out of her own mouth and what she's
Mhm.
typing on her
Yes.
phone,
I
you
know.
know, and that's not healthy to
Mm-mm.
promote a fake image of someone or
Yes.
a fake life. And it's not healthy to promote this perfection because none of us are.
No, we're
And
not.
yes, I mean, and was Shanann controlling? Yes. Was she
Mm-hmm.
OCD? Yes. You know, do
Mm-hmm.
we all have those
Of
qualities?
course, I've been
Yes.
that. I've been controlling in situations, especially if it's something that I want done and I want it done now, or something I feel like that, oh man, I could have did that. I could have did that better. You know, I have found myself controlling in certain situations. I am an alpha female, you
Mm,
know, and my husband knows that. I am truly alpha, but I respect him. I respect him, and he's beta. He's a beta male. But when
mhm.
he stands up for something, he stands up for it. You know, I can be dominant, but I'm not dominant over him because I respect him as a man and I respect him as a person. But there are times when I'm like, man, I could get that better.
Oh, absolutely. And I think Shanann was beginning to see that at the end of those 5 weeks,
I do
but it was
too.
too
It
late.
was too late. Yeah,
It was too late. We don't
it
even know
was.
why she went there for 5 weeks to begin with, because,
Exactly.
you know, she I don't remember reading anywhere what the purpose of it was other than for the girls to meet the families and to spend the summer in
Right.
North Carolina.
Right.
So, but then at the same time, if you listen to her dad's and her brother's FBI interviews,
Mm-hmm.
they will tell you that she absolutely did not get along with her mother, to the
Yeah.
point where they were questioning her, like, how are you going to deal with having to be with your mom? And that Shanann said, I'll figure it out somehow.
Wow.
So she, her dad also said that she wouldn't answer her mom's calls, she wouldn't
That
answer
I did
mom's
see.
text
Yeah.
messages,
And
and
he
that,
had to call in order for her to answer the phone. I
yes.
saw that.
Hmm.
I saw that myself.
Yeah. And so there are many, many issues with this case below the surface, because it's not just one story. It's not just she was perfect and that's it. He just snapped. That doesn't
No.
satisfy that.
No.
It's an intellectual insult
No.
to people
Exactly. It
if
is.
anyone thinks that we're just going to be like, "Oh, okay, well, he should have just got a divorce." Oh well. Poor Shanann. That's,
Right. Nobody wants to look at what led up to all of that. Nobody wants to go back and actually look up, deal with that. And then when someone does touch on that, again, you get all these emotionally invested people who come in and how dare you speak of the dead like that, and how dare you defame her character, and how dare you bash a victim. And there's no bashing, there's facts and there's truth, and if you go and look yourself you will find everything that they're saying. None of that is bashing, it's the truth.
yeah, it is. And I think that's why, that I think that's why also, like, that's one of the reasons why this documentary is not going to work out like
Hmm.
maybe the family hoped it would, that it would quiet down or that it would satisfy people's curiosities, and that it will just
It actually sparked their curiosity.
even
Yes,
more so.
it
There's
did.
so much in this documentary that, and I was trying to watch it also from like a psychoanalytical perspective, and just drawing parallels, like, what is the message, and what does this documentary want us to know and learn about this?
Hmm.
And it talks about domestic violence, but Shanann was not in a domestic
No,
violent
she was
relationship.
not. She was not. I've worked with domestic women who were in domestic violent relationships. I did that for years, and Shanann was not in a domestic violent relationship. She was not. And I really wish people stopped saying that, because she was not.
Yeah, she wasn't. And so the message really was, I mean, what was it? Can you narrow it down? Because it didn't tell us, stop pretending, on Facebook that everything's fine. I would say the message is reach out for help. And her friends, in my opinion, I put myself in any one of her friends' shoes, and let's
Hmm.
say, and now this is not me generalizing it to everybody and or saying that Shanann did something wrong or that they responded wrong. I'm not saying that at all. I think what everyone did, especially Nicole Atkinson, was perfect.
Yes.
I'm saying though, for me personally, if I received a text message from my friend over and over again, saying that she's rejected, she's crying,
Hmm.
she's doing this, she's doing that, like, I would be concerned about that. I would want to talk through that, and also
Yes.
with the financial troubles. Nicole Atkinson in her interview said that Shanann completely lost it when she saw the $60
Yes.
charge on her bill, and we know that they were we know that they were in financial trouble.
Yes,
So as a friend, like I would say, man, Shanann, you think you could cancel that subscription to that essential oils that you have for every
exactly.
other week for $70? Like,
Right. And that's
you
the kind
know,
of friend I am when it comes to finances, because I know how stressful it can be when you're financially strapped. I mean, when you're living from penny to penny like that, I mean, that had to be overwhelming, not just
absolutely.
for Chris, but for her. That had to be stressful, knowing that you're constantly buying stuff that you cannot afford. You
Correct. Yeah.
cannot afford that. You were broke. You were broke. You had nothing. And all these people running around talking about Janelle. She had all this money in the bank. They were broke.
Mm-hmm.
They had nothing. They was about to file bankruptcy for the second time. They were
Yeah.
broke.
Yeah. And that's, and that's not Shanann's fault.
No,
That's that's not, it's a combination
it's a
of the two
combination.
of them.
Yes, it
They
is.
are in a relationship and they're in a partnership, and
Yes,
both of them are
responsible.
responsible.
Yes.
Yeah, and just because Chris says, "Oh, she told me I couldn't handle the finances anymore because I sold whatever before they paid it off," doesn't mean that you just sit by while you're drowning in debt.
I know.
And
And
I
not
don't know.
knowing what is going on. I mean, not knowing what financial state that you are in, even as the man of the house, regardless what they say of, how Chris was, regardless, it was his responsibility to know what was financially happening under his roof, what was going on, and by him not knowing that, he was irresponsible. You're going out every day and you're making money and you're putting it into an account and you don't know if your bills are being paid. You don't know what's going on, especially when you realize that, oh man, I got to take out $10,000 out of my 401k and pay we're 3 months behind in the mortgage, and now we are going to court because the home association
Hmm.
is suing us for $1,500, and you don't try to find out what is happening.
Yeah. Exactly. And how do you then say, oh, he must have snapped? We don't know what happened. There are so many dynamics that were between Shanann and Chris that were unhealthy on both ends.
Yes, it was.
And there are
It
so
most
many
definitely was.
I think there was not that many red flags maybe, but there were if you really were listening. I
A
mean, just the
lot of red
fact,
flags. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
just the fact that, you know, I don't know, I can't wrap my mind around anyone telling me whether or not I can have contact with my own family.
Oh, that was the biggest red flag for me. That I just could not believe that. It shocked me. It shocked me that she would say it, and it shocked me even more that he would comply to it.
Mm,
It shocked me that she would say to her husband, "Don't you dare contact your family. You cannot call your family. You cannot have any contact with them." And for him to be okay with that,
yes,
absolutely not.
yes,
I wouldn't dare. If I didn't get along with my mother-in-law, which I do, I wouldn't dare tell my husband, "You better not call your family." I think that's the day that he was, "Are you out of your freaking mind?
hmm,
That's my family. Yes, you're my wife, but that's my family. And you don't have the right to tell me I can't contact my family because you are in some kind of controversy with them."
right,
I don't understand how Chris complied with that. I'm sorry. I don't.
yeah, no, and that's the. There was a lot of mixed messages too on Shanann's part, because we see clips of text messages isolated without the rest of the conversation. So it's out of context. And some might argue, who cares about the context? He did this, case is closed. But wait. Like, I want to understand the dynamics. I want to be able to learn from that, because if you don't, then history repeats itself.
Over and over and over again.
So we have to be able to talk about uncomfortable things.
Yes.
Especially, I think with Shanann, she's like the model wife and mother, right? She is like superwoman.
Mhm.
I think there's like this idealization. There's the halo effect
Mhm.
of Shanann. And I think that it needs to remain like that for some people, because that's their measure of what's good. But that's how depression happens, because we don't acknowledge that you can't shut off only parts of your feelings without shutting off all of them. So to be
Right.
able to be able to look at Shanann as a real human being versus this, perfect image of a woman, I think it would be healthier for us to discuss that realistic version, because we can then acknowledge the same flaws that we have in us
Yes,
and
exactly.
recognize it in our own interactions with other people.
Especially for so many women that I saw that they were saying that it started making them feel fearful of their own husbands and boyfriends, that if somebody who was so perfect, this perfect man, could just one day snap and kill his wife and children, like, wow, could happen to me? If I mean, to compare their relationship with what happened with Shanann, that was kind of alarming to me, that you would that you would compare your relationship with that. So wouldn't you want to find out the dynamics, the steps of how it even got there, if you feel like that could happen to you because it happened to her?
And they're doing the same thing with the Watts family, unfortunately. Whereas Shanann is on one spectrum, the holier than thou, and then on the other spectrum, you just have the crusts of hell
Oh my goodness.
opening, as Chris's family is mentioned. So that's not healthy at all. It's called
No.
splitting. It's a
Hmm.
primitive defense mechanism of the ego. So when you get triggered by this, all this tells me is that your defense mechanism is so primitive that you cannot regulate your
No.
own emotions. That means you're subject to pop off anywhere.
Anywhere at any time.
And I'm not interested in putting myself
Mm-mm.
on the path of your explosion.
Because it's draining when you're dealing with emotionally charged people who are some way of thinking of what they have gone through, looking at this case and kind of connecting it together. And it's like you don't even know what happened. You didn't know these people personally. You didn't know them, and you don't know anyone that knew them personally. So I couldn't understand, how do you compare your relationship with their relationship?
You can't.
No, I
It's
don't compare my relationship with their relationship.
it's a cognitive fallacy. Like it's not. It's a bias. It's not realistic thinking.
No, it's not. It really isn't. And that was just really alarming to me, that so many women were saying, "Wow, if this could happen to Shanann," and she was married to Chris, and he was supposed to be this perfect person, and everybody that they talked to said all these wonderful things about Chris. Then, wow, this could happen to me too. Like, why would you do that to yourself? Why would you place yourself in a position and look at your husband or your significant other thinking that he could one day murder you?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. How could you do that? I mean, just looking at him every day, thinking that this man could possibly murder you because of what happened in the Watts case.
Yeah. Also, what I don't think is emphasized enough is um, the lack of different perspectives, even in the discovery, because the investigators, I think, consider Nutgate to be kind of like a catalyst, maybe, and then Nicole Kessinger just kind of finished it all off.
Mm-hmm.
But hold on one second. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I just have to check something really quick.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
It's okay.
So in the discovery, we have, we see the text messages again in real time. You can watch the Nutgate situation happen
Yes.
through text messages. But what we don't see is the perspective of the other person who was there in the room. See,
Right.
all variations of Nutgate that we have are mostly, at least in what's in the records on
Mm-hmm.
file, is
Mm-hmm.
from Shanann herself and how her friends and Chris interpreted it through Shanann.
Right.
But we don't know the non-emotionally charged version of Nutgate
No, we don't.
because we latched on to Shanann's, oh, she tried to kill my baby. When I can guarantee you that nobody tried to kill anybody's
No,
babies.
absolutely not. That is
Because
not how it happened.
absolutely not. And is Shanann a drama queen? Of course. She's
Mm-hmm.
a public figure. She was on Thrive. She's a salesman. Of course. So when she overreacted and screamed at Cindy in front of the children saying, "How dare you try to kill my daughter?" She yelled so much that she scared Bella and Cece and
Yes.
the other grandchildren that were there at the house.
Yes.
So much so that they had to hide
They
behind a curtain
hid. Yes.
and
They
had to
hid.
be comforted. So,
I mean, that gives me chills, and I wasn't even there. The thought that, you were that angry and you're screaming like that to the point where the children are afraid and they're hiding behind a curtain.
that's scary
That is scary.
for a child.
Yes.
And
Very scary.
also in Frankie's interview as well, and in other sources, Frankie had an open bag of pistachios in his
Oh,
room.
I remember that story. Yeah, I heard him tell
And
that
that's,
story.
and then that's even, I mean, it's literally the same scenario.
And she said that was one of the worst nuts that Cece was allergic to. But she didn't yell and scream at Frankie like that. She was upset. He said she was upset, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't know. I'm sorry." And he made sure that there was nothing else in his room that that Cece was allergic to, but it wasn't the same reaction.
Yeah, and from my understanding too, with the Nutgate, it wasn't Cindy who brought out a tub of pistachio ice cream.
I know that
It
kills me too. When
Yeah, it was actually it was one of the grandchildren who went in the refrigerator and got their own little ice cream to eat, not shoving it down Cece's face or anything. And I think it was blown out of proportion, and it's no different than her brother having a bag of pistachios in his room open, and it's no different than actually Shanann herself giving Cece a Thrive product that contains tree nuts
yes, yes.
on live,
And I'm like,
and it's
wow. I
still
had to
on
ask that
Facebook
question.
now.
I'm like, aren't those bars processed in the factory where they process nuts? I mean, aren't those processed bars? Because if
Mhm.
they're processed bars, they're processed in a factory where they process other things such as nuts,
Yeah.
tree nuts.
Yep. So if you follow that logic, oh, and also there was a Facebook post by Shanann herself saying that her mother is making spaghetti with pesto sauce,
Pesto, yes. And we found out that pesto, one of the ingredients is what?
pistachios.
Yes.
And Shanann said that maybe I'll just order a pizza or something. So following that, the logic of people who say that it's all Cindy's fault and Nutgate is what started this chain of events, then by that same logic, it should also then be true that Frankie tried to kill Cece, that Shanann tried to kill Cece, and that Cindy tried to kill Cece. So anytime anyone exposes anyone to anything, they're just automatically trying to kill them. So I think it
Mhm.
was blown out of proportion, and I think that the Watts family received a lot of hate and a lot of criticism and harassment, actually, even death threats,
Yes.
because of people like that who cannot detach their emotions from their logic.
Well, that was another part of the documentary, as you talk about that, that where it was clipped, where you can hear Nicole Atkinson talking about how that kind of transpired. But then she says that, Shanann said to Cindy, please don't give, Cece the ice cream, but she can't have that. And I'm like, oh, okay, that wasn't how that happened. I
Yeah,
mean, even in the discovery, it doesn't say that.
no,
So it's like, how in the world did they put that in a Netflix documentary, making it seem like Cindy purposely gave Cece ice cream that could have been contaminated with tree nuts? I forgot
yeah,
about that until you mentioned that. So now here we have more emotionally charged people coming in, talking about how awful the mother-in-law was. I mean, I've heard so many things that Shanann could have never succeeded in that family. Oh, how Cindy just hated Shanann. And it's like, where are you getting this from? Over the Nutgate situation? I didn't see anything else where Shanann said that Cindy hated her.
yeah. And Chris does say it too, my mother and my sister never liked her.
Yes,
And Chris, let me just say this, that he was just as far away from his parents and removed as
he
Shanann
sure
was.
was. He
And
sure was.
she was the one who was literally telling him what to do.
Right.
In the text message, now you're going to call your father, you're going to tell him this, and you're going to tell him that, and you're going to tell him if they don't do this, then you're going to do that, and they're never going to see you again. And Chris said, okay.
Yes.
It's
And he complied.
that's the problem, like
He complied every time.
every time. And so Chris's narrative is, oh, my mom and sister didn't like her, because that's the narrative that Shanann told him. When even if, let's say, even if they didn't like Shanann, so what?
Right. They didn't hate her, and they didn't want her to die. And that's another thing that I'm tired of here seeing too. I saw one thing that really shocked me, and I had to address the creator when I saw someone said that Cindy Watts hired Nicole Kessinger to destroy Chris and Shanann's marriage. And I was flabbergasted. I just could not believe. And that comment stayed there for a long time. And I had to address the moderators, like, please, can you delete this? This is defamation of character and this is slander, because that is not true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. And, Court TV actually picked up on the documentary, of course, and they did a little clip about Frankie and his GoFundMe and the online trolls and harassment and so on and so forth. But even Court TV said that, it probably is not going to pass anytime soon because, to be quite honest, we don't even know what Shanann's law is supposed to mean.
Right.
But if it's to not talk about the victims or the families, then, guess what? There already is a law on the books that Weld County themselves have not enforced. And that's the Victims' Rights Act.
Oh my goodness.
So
Oh
that's
my
what
goodness.
we're mad at, not
Yes,
me.
that's exactly what
Alan.
we should be angry, because any of us could end up in a situation like this, not with the same dynamics, but the fact is that our rights are being violated, because after post conviction, you're exposed. If you're living in an open, can I talk about that for a
Of
little bit?
course, yes.
If you're living in an open record state, anybody can go and obtain information about your family. Nothing is redacted, your address, your phone number, everything is out there for any person, any Joe Blow, to come and say, fill out the request form and say, I want this information. And they can attack your family. They can go after your family. They can go after your children. They can go after anyone that they choose to, because you are not protected if you're living in an open record state by some internet vigilante who feels like, your family member or someone who committed the crime that you might be related to, that you could be responsible for this too, and they can come after you. You're not protected. That's the law that we, as the people of the United States of America, need to focus on, that you are not protected under post-conviction. Before the conviction, victims are protected under under the Victims' Right Act. But after, you are exposed to the world, where anyone could get that information and find out everything that they want about you.
And not only that, but even in the discovery, if you download and listen to the interviews, none of the audio interviews are redacted.
No.
We literally have access to personal private information, phone numbers, addresses of everybody involved in this case.
Everybody.
And that's the issue, in my opinion, because even when I listened to it the first time around, I thought, wait a minute, wasn't this supposed to be redacted? Because Lord knows I've gone through enough trainings on privacy laws and things like that. So yeah, it wasn't redacted. Even the minors.
Yes.
Nothing. Information was redacted. And
nothing.
So I think that should be where the anger should be directed at. Because, not only have you been doxxed, but you've been doxxed by the government.
Exactly. By the government.
So don't come at me mad because I talk about the case that the government released.
Yes. And the sad thing about it is that a lot of them don't even know of everything that is even in their law that they have to protect victims. They don't even know everything that is there. So, like I said, if you are living in an open record state, and by chance that you were a victim, your family, or maybe somebody you knew. At the post conviction, you're exposed to the world. Anybody can ask for your information and find out things about you and put it all on YouTube, all
And
on Facebook and everywhere else on social media, and you have no control over it.
and
None.
you know what else is messed up? What else is messed up is that, let's take Nicole Kessinger, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I have my suspicions of her involvement in the case. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying that she committed any violent acts at all,
Right.
but the fact that she walked her ass to a park and started lying to those agents
Yeah.
before you could even blink, is enough for me to trigger suspicion.
Right.
And I will not take, oh, she was probably nervous and embarrassed
Mm-mm.
as an acceptable answer,
Mm-mm.
because that's not, it's a crime. Lying to agents is a crime. You're interfering with an investigation. You
Well,
started
Rourke
by,
himself said that she interfered with the investigation by withholding information.
Mhm,
He said it himself.
exactly. So that's a crime.
Yes.
So I do have every right to question. But if I was Nicole Kessinger, think back to her interviews with Kobach. She
Mm-hmm.
constantly was worried
Yes, she was.
about her reputation, about
Yes.
her
Her
identity.
information being out there,
If,
people
if,
finding out. Yes.
yeah, if anyone's gonna find her, if she's gonna have to go in hiding, if she's gonna
Yes. Change
change.
her name.
Yeah,
Yes.
and Kobach sat there and said, we don't release anything. The police department doesn't release anything. Blah blah blah.
Lies.
Misleading. And
Lies.
I
They
think,
release everything.
yeah, and I think the reason the why they mislead, they can write it off as another strategy to get people to
Mm-hmm.
talk to them, but it's a violation of Nicole Kessinger's
Yes.
privacy. She should be able to make an informed decision before she speaks with anyone on record,
Exactly.
especially if she's not a person of interest in the case.
Exactly. And according to them, she was just a witness.
And just a witness and a person of interest does not get interviewed 5 times.
No, no, they do not. They absolutely do not. No.
Yeah.
And I
So
was
that,
told personally that they have no control over who requests information after post conviction. I was mortified.
well, that's the point, because it shouldn't matter, because public records are public, and the public is
Mm-hmm.
any person, any individual. So it shouldn't matter. And I was actually in contact with Weld County Sheriff's Office regarding records
Mm-hmm.
questions. And I was told that, well, it depends on who requests them. And it's like, no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
It's public. So
Yeah.
therefore, everybody requesting public records
And
should
that's what
be.
I was told. So it's like, get your story straight. Stop, one saying one thing and another saying another thing when it doesn't. If it's public information, anyone can request it. They can fill out that request form, show
Mhm.
ID. It doesn't matter if they were a felon. It doesn't matter if they're convicted of anything. As long as they fill out that form and show some sort of ID, they can obtain that information. That was scary to me, that a felon could come in, someone who's convicted of a felony, or you don't know what they're going to be doing with this information, that they can have this information. As someone who believes that victims' rights should be upheld, that was scary to me.
Yeah.
So that means that a pedophile can come in because he's part of the public and request information if it was concerning a child and receive that?
It's crazy.
Yes, because it's open record state and they can have it.
I'm gonna add a banner saying live discussion with Caffeine Q. Oh, but you can't see it. I don't know why.
Yeah, I can. That's okay.
Let me try to mess with this. No, it doesn't change. Chris is stuck on the thing.
I see his face. Sorry.
Hold on. Oh, how the hell? Hey, there we go.
Okay. I have to refresh it to see it. Probably so.
Oh yeah,
I don't
maybe.
want to lose you if I refresh it.
Oh, you don't have to
Oh,
refresh.
okay.
Yeah, I think it should just show up on the thing.
Oh, yes, I see it now.
Yeah. Yes, I can see you, Stephanie. That's I'm looking in my my browser. I'm not looking at StreamYard because it doesn't catch all the comments all the time. So I'm trying to juggle
Yeah.
back and forth.
Stephanie, why don't you come on?
Yes.
Stephanie, come up.
Let me put the link out there again.
Allie, if you're able to, anyone,
Yeah, anyone.
please come up. I love to hear everyone's views on different things.
This is kind of fun.
It is. Also, if Stephanie comes up or somebody else, can we talk about this interview that's about to
Yeah.
premiere on October 23rd?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. What do you think about that?
I think it should have never happened. I think that he should have never been. Think he should have never obtained that. I think that should have been private.
I thought so too.
Yeah, I feel like that should have been private. How they are sensationalizing it is a lie. They're trying to make it seem like this is something that just happened. And also, I have heard YouTube creators take it and spinning it like Ronnie and Cindy sat down with this person and interviewed with them, and that's a lie. This happened in 2018 when they visited Chris before what was it, before the plea deal or the sentencing? Well, both. It was before
Mm-hmm.
both. And he's spinning it like it's something that just occurred and it's something that occurred with them. That's how he's spinning it.
Yeah. But that's an old phone call, and
Old visit.
it's
Yes.
it's definitely being sensationalized. And I thought that Stephanie disappeared for some reason, but I thought that I was under the impression that
Jenna, you're right. It is going to be a disaster.
yeah, I was under the impression that like visits with the attorneys present were
Yes.
private and not.
I thought that was private too, because you could see them in the background.
Yeah.
You could see them in the background standing there.
Yeah, and that's wrong. That is wrong.
So, I mean, I was really shocked when I found out what the visit was, what that video was. It was their visit with him before the plea and before the sentencing. That someone has taken it, someone that has no credibility, that or should have no credibility whatsoever with what he has done.
It's scary, and
It is scary.
that's what I mean, that this documentary has opened the floodgates now.
Yes, it has.
Because some of the individuals who are involved with the release of these calls, are described online as celebrity trolls and
Yes.
professional trolls, and if you look them up, it's not difficult to find some of the convictions that they've had.
Oh my goodness. This guy
including
pretended.
Oh, go ahead.
No, finish.
Oh yeah, I was going to say including impersonating
Yes.
an government official in order to
Mm-hmm.
obtain secret files
Yes.
or private files
Yes.
that are not public. So that kind of individual, immediately it raised a red flag for me because number one, there's a legal person on the call and legal calls are not supposed to be recorded.
No.
And number two, the fact that, he does have a conviction of, you don't see that very often, someone impersonating a government official
I
trying
know.
to steal documents. That's very
Even a
suspicious.
Good Morning America correspondent he impersonated
That's
just to
right.
get information.
Hi,
A
Stephanie.
New York Post reporter he impersonated trying to get information.
Hello.
And hi.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, how are you?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
And they gave this felon, convicted felon, you can look up his record. He has this visit that Ronnie and Cindy had and Jamie had with Chris before the plea hearing and before the sentencing. And he's sensationalizing it all over Facebook and YouTube like it's something that just happened and happened with him and the family. And people are taking his word and running with it after what he has done. I could not believe it. I could not believe it.
Yeah. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi,
What do
Stephanie.
you think about all of this? Oh, she's muted. Maybe she's busy.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, maybe something happened. She had to mute
Someone,
herself.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
there she is.
My mic was muted.
Yes.
Yes, it was.
And I'm trying to figure out how to see the chat as well as the StreamYard face,
Are
Yeah.
you on your computer?
I was, and I just got off of it so that I could use my phone and then maybe view chat in my computer. Would that work?
Yes, that's what I'm
Yes.
doing.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm on my laptop, so I
I'm
can go
sorry,
back
this
and
is
forth
like,
between StreamYards and the group.
not that I want to
Yeah.
become an expert at this because I don't plan on doing a whole ton of these, but I'm not very good at it yet.
That's
I'm
okay.
not either. I just started
is-
myself.
Yeah, this is our first time on Facebook.
Yes.
So
But it is such a pleasure to get to speak to both of you.
I know.
Panel.
Speak with you too. I know.
I know it's exciting because you've been around since I've been
Yes,
around.
you have.
Yeah.
I would like to hear your views. Definitely.
I'm
I'm still a newbie.
Oh, well, you are.
I don't even have a year in yet. I've only been here 9 months, so I'm still learning. I'm still a newbie, but I love facts.
That you're sticking around. The circus.
After the Netflix influx, I was
my.
worried. I was wondering myself, but I'm here. I'm here for the long haul.
Yeah.
I love the facts. I was fortunate that when I came in with the Lifetime movie, that I found Jana's group, and then from there I found Natasha's group, and from there I found Vanessa's group. So I was fortunate that I was able to see facts versus fiction. I was able to hear truths, and then I was able to go and research that and see it for myself. So I was fortunate that I came in, like remember telling Natasha, I made a post and I was jumped on right away. I said something about NK. I believe that she had been at the Watts house more than once. That was my own personal feelings, and come to find out it was true. But a bunch of women jumped me. I deleted the post and I said, next time I come back, I'm coming back with facts. And I did. But they jumped on me right away. She wasn't there. It was funny. So I deleted that post. And when I came back with facts. I was ready.
That's right. But this Netflix breed,
Oh
They
my.
don't seem to be accepting the fact either.
Well,
That's why
my mom and my sister, like they watched it as, a random Netflix documentary, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the case that I've been talking about for, discussing for 2 years. My mom's like, what? And then she started like rattling off, how could this happen? Just get a divorce. And I'm like, Mom, there's so much more to it than that. So much more. Oh.
I have ignored. I'm telling you, I see it on my friends. I'm like, I'm just skipping past it unless I see something that I really have to address. It's like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah. I for sure don't believe that the legacy of this very social public case should be hate.
No.
And
No.
I don't think anybody wanted that or wants that, but it is causing this divide.
Oh my
And
goodness,
because
is
it's
it?
doing that, it makes me look into it further
Yeah.
because it's so confusing, concerning. It certainly doesn't, something just doesn't sit right about it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not the Shanann story anymore.
No, right,
It's the Frankie Rusak show,
right.
in my opinion. Because I'm telling you now, mainstream media has picked up on this story. Like
Oh
I
my
said, Court
goodness.
TV is talking about it.
Yes.
And they're all gonna do their own research. And as soon as they come across Frankie's comments on his own community wall and his channel of the type of things that he has been saying about people and continues to say about people, what do you think the mainstream media is going to think about that? And do you think that they're going to want to take on this story and talk about victims of crime and online harassment when the very person is harassing people online?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that's the thing. And I wish that people could hear this as more than, oh my God, she's talking about the Rusaks. It's
Right.
not about that, it's about someone needs to give this family advice.
Mhm.
And if Frankie really thinks that he's gonna be taking Armchair Detective to court, then you need to delete your channel, man, because if the judge sees that,
Yes.
it's like, well, you're not helping.
Well, I think I said it before. One of the persons that he's supporting, that Martin Dehan person. I've never spoken to this guy. I've never had a conversation with him, and there, my full name was exposed. My Facebook profile in one of his hateful videos, which after that, so many people have been trying to get into my Facebook account. Every time I look up, there's somebody who has been trying to get into my account. And there he is under there cheering this guy on, telling him to keep going, keep going. What? How dare you?
Mm.
Knowing what he's doing, and you're there cheering him on, telling him he's doing a great job and telling him to keep going.
Yeah.
I was disgusted. And I will say that I was disgusted what he's
Yeah,
doing. I've never
I was
spoken
trying,
to this guy. I don't know who he is. I saw him uh, on a YouTube, and I mean, I'm like, how dare you? How dare you? And I reported that video. How dare you put my information in one of your hate videos? And I don't know you, and I've never spoken to you, and I've never even commented on any of your videos. And to put me out like that, like, absolutely not. That's not acceptable. And there's Frankie Jr. under there cheering this guy on for what he's doing, which is doing nothing but spreading hate. and riling up these people, these social media vigilantes, online vigilantes to go after people.
The hate is against, it seems to be against anyone who is connected to AD. That's what it looks like to me.
It
From
is.
It
Merton
is.
to all,
It is.
and so that's what's so strange. Like if you didn't, come being more social, like, and on panel and things like that, they would have never picked you out,
Mhm.
to dissect your life or put it out there. It's because of an association. It actually has nothing to do with you. And that's what's so scary.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what made me even angrier.
Yeah.
That made me even angrier that you are trying to control who I associate with. I'm like, people in my real life can't even control who I associate with. Who I associate with is my own business, not yours and not anyone else's. And I'm a great judge of character when it comes down to people. And if I support someone, that doesn't mean I support everything that they
Mm-hmm.
say. And I know a lot of people dislike AD, but I mean, that's their personal views. I don't dislike him and I don't hate him. I definitely don't agree with everything that he says, but he should not be bullied. His life should not be threatened. People should not be running around YouTube talking about they want to cut his throat.
No, they shouldn't.
No, not at all. So every time that someone sees one of us in his chat or whatever, first thing they think that we agree with everything, and I don't even know everything that he has done. I've seen his video. I don't agree with everything that he says. No, I don't. But I'm not going to run around hating him because this vigilante people over here hate him because they feel like he's personally, you know, did something wrong to them. No, I'm not going to do that. That's not how I live my life. I don't agree with everything, but I'm not running around YouTube hating people because somebody wants
No.
me to. No, no, thank you.
Hate is too strong and powerful
It
to
is.
give to anybody
It is.
Mm-hmm.
There are
unless
people
you
I just
really
like,
have.
oh my goodness, I've felt hate before. I've hated. I've
Yeah.
hated someone before. And that was just an awful feeling because what it did, it consumed me. It didn't consume them, it consumed me every single
Mm-hmm.
day because I couldn't get past what I felt about that person until one day I had to look in the mirror and said, enough is enough. The
Yeah.
stress of hating someone. It wears on your health, your mental being, everything, how you associate with people, how you deal with them. No,
It's
not
I can only imagine what I see as how the, or I believe they are feeling towards him, towards AD. That is so, that's got to be consuming their
it
lives.
has to be. Well, you can hear it in their
Yeah.
conversations. How can you
I
sit and
mean,
talk about one person for 4 and 5 hours? And you can
yeah.
hear the venom, in their voice, the hatred in their voice.
it's like drinking the poison,
Mhm.
waiting for AD to die.
Yes, exactly.
But they're the ones drinking the
Yes.
poison. That's what anger is. That's what hate is.
Oh my goodness, it consumes you. Oh, it consumes you.
It is, Jana. It can literally make you physically sick.
Oh, it does.
Did you know that cortisol, the stress hormone, actually chronic stress negatively impacts our brain? It actually shrinks our brain. So I can't imagine in the last 2 years how many brains we've shrunk just
Hmm.
because people couldn't let go and won't let go.
Yes, it would definitely. Stress will kill you faster than anything, and that's what hatred brings on. It brings on stress.
Yes, I agree, Rach, with the let me see. I can't put the comments up. I don't know how to, but She says there's something to be said for being trauma informed, and the actions of Junior and some of these YouTube trolls are re-traumatizing themselves and the families.
Yes.
And I think that's absolutely, I believe that as well.
Mhm. You know, hate opens you up. I looked this up a long time ago. It opens you up for cancer, stroke,
Mhm.
heart attack, high blood pressure, all of that. You know, and I'm looking at the ages of some of these people who are so invested in hating AD, and I'm like, that's concerning enough. It's like you're already at the age where your life should not be full of hate and stress.
Mhm.
This is wearing on your health. This is making you unhealthy. And more so, you're opening yourself up at your age to that. You don't need that. Your heart can't take that. Your blood pressure, your mind.
I actually felt deeply, deeply sad for Frank Sr. When they made an appearance on that live on the Advocate channel, and he looked so different in these
He
last
did,
few
didn't he?
years. He completely changed in appearance, and he's aged a lot in the past 2 years. So I can tell that he's truly grieving and in pain, and it just it's reckless to continue to feed this family with these screenshots and these
Yeah.
videos about AD and what he said
Oh my
yesterday
goodness.
and what he Googled
Send
yesterday.
everything you see, send it to me. And I'm just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, no,
looking for it almost.
right.
And to build this case against one person.
One person.
Mm,
And if they say that, just even if they were able, if they did, and then that's a non-issue, then what? Then everything's okay. They still have their grief.
mhm,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So I don't agree with that. I mean, what is the purpose of sending victims photos of
I
or
know.
screenshots of their abuse or harassment, which honestly, I've still not seen this
I haven't
harassment.
either. I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
You know
so
what?
I haven't seen the harassment and abuse that they're talking about. I haven't seen it coming into the
No,
place.
I've seen
I
hurtful.
haven't seen it.
I've heard and seen comments that
Mhm.
can be hurtful to a family about
Mhm.
a deceased murdered victim. They can be
Mhm.
hurtful, but I have
Right.
not seen harassment. The
Exactly.
harassment is actually the people who are sending it to them.
Is
But then I don't even know if that's
exactly.
harassment because they're asking for it.
Yes.
true.
They're
It's
asking
not.
for
It's not harassment any way you turn it. So I don't know.
it. I haven't seen any messages where people were threatening to come after them and threatening to harm their family. They're saying all of this, and I haven't seen that. And
Yeah.
I agree with you,
And if they
Stephanie. I've
have,
seen hurtful
that
things.
is wrong, and that's who they should be going after.
Well, North Carolina has a law against that.
Yeah.
If they got text messages that someone was threatening them and threatening their family and threatening to come after them, there's a law on the books in North
Yeah.
Carolina that goes against cyberbullying and bullying in general, that they can go to their officials and press charges against that person. So, I mean, it's just that easy if somebody is actually doing that, but I've never seen it. And you're right, I've seen hurtful things that if I was on social media and this happened to my family, I would not want to see that because I would feel like I have to justify that. I would get in my emotions and feel like I have to correct that or say
Mm,
something. So that would immediately make me not want to be around any of those groups or anybody saying anything about my loved one that was murdered. But as far as threatening their lives, I've never seen that. And I've been here, like I said, for 9 months and I haven't seen it. I haven't seen that at all. I saw the picture of the guy with the gun that was supposed to have been sent to Frankie Jr. I saw that, but I didn't see his name attached to it. I didn't see it said, "This is for you, Frankie Jr."
Yeah. And it's not there. I mean, if anything, it's the other way around. For example, I have never spoken a word with any of Shanann's family members. And, for them to threaten me,
I know.
arrest, for abuse and whatever
I
else,
know.
it's like I
I
never even
know.
spoke with you. Again, you were doxxed by Bork.
Yes.
Let's talk about privacy.
And I think I actually told you I wanted to believe that they were cloned until I saw for myself that it's all three of them interacting in this being a part of this, cheering this hatred on. I was totally shocked when I realized that that's really them.
Mm.
That's really them.
Hi, Joe.
Oh, I just want to address Robin's comment. She was saying about Stephanie being on another live last night, and
Oh, yes. I was going to say something after you.
yeah, go ahead, because you can address
Oh,
it,
I
because
was
I don't want
just
to
going
speak
to,
for you.
the comment's gone, so I can't see it right now, but
Oh,
I don't particularly, I don't like AD. I don't like things that I know that he's done to people I care about. And that's a personal thing for me. I do not support the hate of him. I do not hate him. It does not mean I condone or I don't condone. I'm just choosing. I don't enjoy his content right now. I'm staying out of it. And I don't agree with some of the things. But it doesn't mean that I completely agree with one or the other.
mm-hmm.
I was trying to make a point that you can be a supporter or a non-supporter, and you can have friends across the groups. And it's I don't know. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no. Yeah, I think that, I mean, you're absolutely right. And I think that it's not so much AD, but I think it's the community that we all built.
Yeah, that's what it was for
Alongside
me.
him.
It was really, it is. It's for me, it became about the people and the relationships that, were facilitated by being part of a group. It wasn't even really about the person per se, and when I didn't agree with the person, I didn't want to stay just because I like the people. Why can I not be friendly with people across channels? Why does it have to be so divided?
Yeah.
On opinions. I don't agree with things that have been done with you either. And that's why I said so last night. I think that you've been unfairly treated.
And you let them know that
Yeah,
she was your friend.
And I brought your name into it.
Yeah.
Dr. B,
I watched it.
because I didn't want it to be an issue. I wanted them to know off the bat, stay away from B.
Exactly.
Or if you
We're
do,
friends.
at least you know my feelings.
Right. You're not going to change my opinion.
No,
This is how I feel. That's exactly what you said. That's what I heard last night. And I thought that was great to let them know, your feelings and my feelings are two different feelings.
That's right. And Robin, I'm just responding because you were writing that comment. I'm glad that you're concerned, that you're looking out for, Natasha and the members of the group, because I care about them too. And it doesn't mean that the people I spoke with, that I love everything about them either, or I don't. I just wanted to try to be someone who was kind of neutral, although now I'm not thought of as neutral, to jump on and just be like, hey, I was like a really strong supporter of Armchair. I don't hate him, but I don't know. I'm at a loss for words.
It is confusing. It's very confusing.
I do feel like Maureen listened. I do feel like she was listening. which is important because people have to have their minds and their ears opened and be willing to be responsive and willing to listen to make any progress. If someone has a closed opinion, you're not going to have any progress.
And Stephanie, you also made a good point where you said that what has happened to them is different what has happened to you. You know, they're
Yeah.
just like,
Yes.
because it was, and then they won't say it, and they need to. It was personal. You know,
Yeah.
they're going after him because whatever happened between them and AD, it was personal. And they're trying to make it just seem like it's about the Rooch accent, it's about the Rooch accent, it's about, you know, him keep talking about the case when I know better than that. When I see that kind of hatred, when I see that kind of anger, I know it's personal. You can't tell me this is about a family you have no personal connection with. You're angry at him because he personally hurt you in some kind of way. And you touched on that by saying that your experience and their experience is two different experiences, and you're not trying to, you know, make their experience any lower, but you're saying that I can't react on your experience. I can only react on my own experience. Like with me, you know, I'm part of Natasha's team. So of course I
Yeah.
wouldn't be over there supporting anything that they do because I've seen what they've done. You know, I've seen the lies that they told, which is not your experience. So you're not going to react on my experience, and I wouldn't want you to, and I wouldn't expect you to. And that's what I respect about you is the fact is that you went over there to say, I'm just reacting on my experience, and you told the truth. And that's, I think we all should do that.
Oh, thank you. It means a lot
We
because
should. We should all do that. I can
I didn't
understand
want,
AD's team
yeah,
not wanting to be a part of them, and they shouldn't because of what they're doing, and they're part of that team. But you're not. You have
no,
met some friends.
I'm team Stephanie H.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you have developed friendships with people that you're
Yeah.
holding on to. So your experience is not their experience, and they should not be trying to put your experience, their experience on you and have a problem with that. No. I have a problem when I see people going over there and then all of a sudden they turn on us. You know, they say things about us and do things that I've witnessed myself. Then now I have a problem with you because now you're lying
Hmm.
just to be a part of that. But you didn't do that. You let them know right away. This is how I feel. And people have to stop. You can't put your experiences on other people if you're not a part of that. You know, if you dislike them because of what they're doing, understand that, yes, what they're doing is awful because they won't admit that it's personal. It's personal.
Hmm.
What Maureen is doing is personal. AD has hurt her in some kind of way, tremendously. It's a deep hurt, but it's personal.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with AD and Maureen, and I think, I think that that's kind of like their problem, and I don't know why it became everybody's problem. And I think that's what you were saying, Deja, is that it's personal. It should have been something that should have been able to have been worked out
Mhm,
between Alan and whoever has a problem with Alan.
mhm,
And I think what contributed to a lot of the dissent, if you will, is that Alan's not very responsive, especially after having been hunted down for so long. Like, I understand why he wouldn't want to talk, but I think that what is happening instead is that his subscribers and followers, former followers, current followers, I think we're kind of almost put in a position to speak for him.
mhm,
And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of the subs also get hate,
mhm.
is because of that. And we're all human. You can like me, you can dislike me. I don't expect to be liked by everyone. That would be unhealthy.
Right.
So if you don't like someone, you just move on. You keep looking for something else that you might find more interesting. But to fixate and to, you know, dedicate your channel and your lives to only, you know, just talking about one person over and over again is not healthy. It just isn't, and it's not going to accomplish anything because Alan is not talking. So it's not right to then transfer that frustration onto his current subscribers or
Exactly. That's exactly right. It's not right.
Yeah.
And then when they don't agree with you, now you go after them. You go after their families. You go after their children. You call their job. You call their schools. It's like this entitlement. This entitlement thing. I can't believe that you would even think that that is normal, and it's definitely not legal for you to think that just because, oh, now I couldn't convince them to hate Alan, so now I'm going to go after them in real life.
Mm.
Unacceptable.
But this is, you know, this is all part of the Watts circus.
It is.
It is
It-
part of the Watts circus, and
it is.
that is what is overpowering Shanann's voice and Shanann's story. And I think what's happening online
Oh my goodness, yes, you said it. It's overpowering her story.
that's being perpetuated online by her family
Yes.
is the driving force of this. So I think that it's like I said, it's turning into a Frankie story and not Shanann's story. And I think they've hijacked her legacy.
Mm,
Yeah.
they really have.
Yeah.
They really have.
They've
I mean,
And
hijacked her
a
legacy
lot of
and
lives
turned
are
it.
being affected in the
yes,
Yeah.
along the way.
along the way. And I often wonder if she was still here, what would she feel about this?
Mm.
I don't know.
Mhm. She wouldn't be happy.
I don't think
No.
so either. She would not be happy at all.
She wouldn't be happy.
I really believe that. She would not be happy with what is with what is happening, what is going on.
And you know what else she wouldn't be happy about?
Mm.
The spelling of Nico's name being changed.
No, because she didn't spell it that way.
She didn't.
No, she spelled it Niko. That's how she
And
wanted the name to be spelled.
to change it to a C, I can almost see it was most likely Sandy's decision.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Sandy is very domineering as well. She's a very alpha. And I think that's why her and Shanann didn't get along.
Wow.
So I don't know. I think that, yeah, Shanann would probably be pissed about that.
Mhm. Well, looking at, I mean, her personality, the way she was, she definitely wouldn't have liked the fact that they changed the spelling of his name. That I can say. She would not have liked that, and she
Absolutely
definitely would have
not.
changed it back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely not. She would have hated, and I guarantee you, she would have hated even that the name was changed to Rusak, because she kept her last name King
She
until she
did.
married
That's
Chris,
right. She did keep it.
and she even wanted Chris to take on that last name. I
I
mean,
heard that. That was
did you guys catch? Let me tell you something about Chris, man. Chris, when people say, "Oh, he's a psychopath," to be a psychopath, you have to be intelligent, especially in social situations. You have to be able to read the room. You have to be able to be a chameleon, to fit in, to manipulate people. Because a psychopath is not a psychopath because he got caught on the same day he killed someone because he was sloppy. A psychopath is someone who can trick people, who can
Mhm,
trick law enforcement,
mhm,
who can look you in the eyes and lie to you and help you look for the victim, for the murder victim. You know,
Like our famous Ted Bundy.
that's Ted
I think
Bundy.
I think Ted Bundy is like the poster child for psychopaths.
He is. And Chris Watts is not a psychopath. Chris Watts has absolutely his social, his
Socially awkward, yes,
yes,
but not.
socially awkward. And I don't think he's a master manipulator. I think he literally is a very concrete thinker. He's
Literal.
he's probably very analytical, which
Oh
is why
yes,
he loves, sports and anything that involves like strategies and
I see the analytical part.
the cars, just processing. He's more of a left brain guy, and left brain is not involved with emotions. It's the logical part of our brain.
I see that when people talk about how emotionless he was, that he didn't have any emotion. And I'm going to share this. Last year, before I even heard about this case, actually, I started dealing with that because I hated the fact is that things would make me emotional. I'm like, I don't want, I want to learn how not to, my emotions not to get tied up in stuff, and not even thinking about that that would help me deal with things on a more fact-based level. But the fact is that how that made me feel when I would get emotionally charged or emotionally upset about, I didn't like that feeling.
Right.
So it's like I wanted to be less emotional when it came down to certain things. So if somebody saw me, like when my father passed away, I didn't cry. I didn't cry.
Mm.
No, I didn't. I didn't even cry at his funeral. I didn't cry. What made me cry was that when I found out he didn't take care of himself, and I got angry before I even cried. That I got angry with the fact is that he would have still been here if he had just went to the doctor and took care of himself. But I didn't cry. So if somebody had saw me at his funeral with it, they probably would have been like, "Wow, she's emotional. She her father just passed and she didn't cry, didn't shed a tear, not one." But I loved my dad with my whole heart. And I got angry with him because he didn't take care of himself, and he still would have been around and he still would have been here. And after that anger, I cried.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think, the Chris's emotions, I think he was feeling emotions, but they weren't, he wasn't animated.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? Like you weren't able to tell that he was feeling any emotions because he wasn't showing it.
Right.
But his body, his
That's the
physical body was going
show that he
insane.
was. That's right.
And that's
Experience
how some
emotions.
people experience emotions, through physical symptoms. Anxiety is a physical emotion.
Definitely is.
I think that's what makes this case so meaningful to me personally, is that I see them both as they could be anybody. They're human. They could be my friend. I see traits in my husband. I see some traits in myself. The fact that they aren't sociopathic, or that the fact that I don't think they have that is even more scary to me, because this is the result
Exactly.
of what could happen when the wrong set of circumstances
Yes.
and choices happen all along the way.
Yes.
And if one thing on their whole journey and different points in their time could have changed the trajectory.
Yes.
And I think that discussing the case not only makes us more aware of that, but also can help us learn from it.
You can. You really can. And I like the part about what Natasha just said about the body language that, I had never heard that before. And, that it's a lot of things that we can learn from this if we would just get out of our emotions, that people can show their emotions through their body language, just their body language, not the fact that he didn't cry or he wasn't upset like everybody else, but his body language showed that he was dealing with a lot of emotions.
Yes.
Mhm.
I,
And I think Coder was onto it.
Mhm.
Coder was just studying Chris, and Tammy Lee in the interview even said that as soon as Coder walked out of the interview room, that he said he strangled her because Chris kept grabbing his neck
Mhm.
during the
clenching
interview.
his fingers as he's talking.
Yeah. So I think Coder was onto him. I think Coder's sharp. And
Yes.
Tammy is
I
as
said I
well.
liked him out of all of them. I really did. I thought he was very sharp.
Yeah. I think Tammy was excellent. She's a brilliant detective.
Mhm.
But I think for Chris, I don't think she was effective because I think he aligned more with Coder.
Mhm.
And even when Tammy would ask him a question, he would look at Coder and
He sure
respond.
would. He sure
So
would.
he definitely respected Coder more. And I think that Tammy was a little bit too aggressive,
Yes,
and Coder kept his tone of voice even throughout the entire
he did.
every interview.
He did.
He
Even
felt
when
everything.
you could hear her emotions, that she asked him something. She was asking him something. I think it was about the children, and I could hear her emotions. Like you could hear the anger. She was getting angry, and
Yeah,
Coder stepped in. He stepped in, and he was like, "Chris,
yeah.
Chris," and it was his voice. It was so calming. Like it's like, how could you not
I was
relax
like,
after
I need,
hearing that?
I need to ask Coder if he's willing to be my therapist. I'll get interrogated by Coder any
I
day.
know. Even when he said, Chris, now we know that's not true.
Now take a deep breath. And he made Chris take that deep breath, God damn it. Usually when you say take a deep breath, people are like, yeah, okay, I get it. Like, calm down.
Yeah.
But he was like, no, Chris, take that damn breath.
I think the first time I really saw him get angry, and then he still calmed back down when he was talking to Trent.
Oh, to Trent.
When he asked him, why was he wasting their time? And I could tell he was angry, but then he calmed back down again.
Yeah. Well, Trent is obvious. Like, Trent would get me angry. Like, if he showed up in my interrogation room, I'd be like, come on now.
Coda was that, but he said, why are you wasting our time? I like Coder.
Yeah, so I think Coder was definitely onto Chris's body language, and he heard him loud and clear. And I think that Tammy wasn't connected, because Chris had already made that connection with Coder, and I think
He did.
I think her suggesting that Shanann hurt the girls was her emotional, like it was a strategy that I think she pulled out way too quick. Because I think Coder was going there, but he was going about it a different way because he had figured Chris out.
Yeah, he did.
And
You could tell.
instead of saying, did Shanann kill the girls? Coder asked Chris, did you have to clean up?
Wow.
It's just that simple.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris didn't even respond to that because he had to think about it. Because remember, Chris is a concrete thinker.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Tammy maybe jumped the gun, but it would have been interesting to hear what he would have said had she not suggested that.
I know. I wonder, what do you think made her suggest that?
I think it's they wanted a confession. That's the
Okay.
only reason they even utilize the polygraph, because it's not admissible in court. So the polygraph
Right.
by itself is simply a tool to obtain a confession.
Wow. I always say, I wish she
And
had never said that.
they wanted to find them. They
and they had found them already when he was
Oh,
in,
had they?
Yeah, I
in the
thought
room.
they
Yeah,
already found them. Yes.
they had found them while he was in the polygraph session. They were at Survey 319 already out with the drones. He told them where the girls are.
Yeah.
Maybe that would have been a problem.
Right.
I mean, he would have confessed either way. I just think that
Yeah, a lot of
it's code or law.
said that I wish that she had a never said that to him.
Yeah.
I wonder what would have happened if she had never said that to him.
But they needed a confession, so.
Wow. I saw Sharon here. Are you still here, Sharon?
Yeah, so I don't know. There's a lot going on, and also we can't forget about that phone call that was released too.
Oh yeah.
That
Yeah.
well,
Oh
I
my
don't agree
goodness.
with that either,
Yeah.
especially given the nature of the conversation and that he's talking about appealing. So again, those are sensitive legal matters that are being
And I
put out
don't
there.
agree how people started attacking Anna and doxing her. We found out that she was being doxed and attacked, and I mean she has a small child, and people were talking about going after her, and people were still running around social media saying that she's the one that recorded and released those calls, even after they heard the person say that they are the ones that did it, that they are the ones that recorded the calls. It's like, to me, people just want to believe a lie. There are some people that want to believe a lie and they will keep spreading that lie, and they don't care nothing about the truth. And that's the problem that I have. When I don't care, I don't have to like you, but I don't have to like you. I don't have to associate with you. But if I have a truth and I know someone is spreading a lie and I see that, I'm going to say something. I'm not going to sit there and let somebody defame you and put you in danger, dox you, people coming after you, and not say that that's not true. That's not what happened. I think it's a responsibility of all of us that we need to squash a lie with the truth if we know what the truth is, and not allow someone to keep spreading a lie on someone just because you may not care for them, or it's because you're connected to someone that doesn't care for them. You know, that goes against your character and who you are as a person.
Speaking of liars, Rach is asking about Cato's book.
Oh, good Lord.
Is she actually coming out with a new
Yeah.
book?
No, same book, new title.
Yeah,
What?
she's coming out with a new book. She changed the title to the Chris Watts Murder or something like
Murderers.
that. Murders.
Yeah, something
And
like that. Let me see what it is. I kept the title.
yeah, and she said that she has rewritten some parts, and she's this time around including original copies of the letters. And I also saw a post yesterday from Cher, who has been corresponding with Cato, and she revealed to Cher that she would be releasing a lot of information on NK, including that NK
Was
was
there?
there that night of the
Mhm.
murder.
Yeah.
And this is now, of course,
That's from
Cato.
Chris's mouth?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, yes, according to Cato, but I don't know that I find Cato credible.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
if this is in a letter, then that's a different story.
Right.
But this opens
Right.
up a whole new can of worms,
It
because
does.
Boy.
now, for the second time, Cato herself is waiting to release a book to implicate someone in a murder.
And remember, she's a public figure now.
Yeah,
And
and
to
instead of
implicate Nicole Kessinger in a murder, that means that she better have her facts straight.
yes, so that's what I'm saying, and so it's like, if she releases in this book, and not only is it going to have consequences for Cato, but it's going to have consequences for Nicole Kessinger. It's going to have consequences for the Watts family because you know it's going to be Ronnie knew.
And Cindy hired Kessinger to destroy their marriage.
So you have to be very, very careful with that.
Yes.
But what's most important, and I think what Cato might not be anticipating, is that if she releases that Nicole Kessinger was inside of the house the night of the murders of Shanann, Bella, Cece, and Nico, she is going to force the FBI to open.
Yes,
Oh boy.
Yes, because
they're gonna have to go back with some big questions.
Saying this.
So you know what, Cato? Go ahead, release your book.
Called The Murderers of Christopher Watts.
The murders.
So it's basically her going back over her
letters,
plagiarized first edition, and putting her words in it with the real letters.
I don't know. I would be okay if it was just a picture book, like the letters that Crystal. She doesn't have to put a single word on there. She's been holding these letters hostage, especially if they have such pertinent information in it, such that Nicole was at the house. And we heard 5 interviews where she absolutely denied being anywhere by there.
She sure did.
Actually didn't even deny. She just said that she, whatever, it doesn't matter. But that's serious. And
it is serious.
Yeah, and if she has been holding on to this since April of 2019, and it's almost...
Cheryl, you're here. Come on and tell us and talk to us about the book, if you can.
What was that? I'm sorry?
I said if Cheryl was here, I would like her to come on and talk to us a little bit about whatever she can tell us about the book, about her conversation with Cato.
I'm surprised that the law enforcement, after hearing of these letters, wouldn't have looked at them already.
That's a good point. Maybe they have.
Right. Maybe they have.
Yeah, maybe they have, because I mean, they wouldn't tell us if there was an investigation open.
And I mean, my theory, as far as that is concerned, I feel like that they knew she was there. That they knew by her phone records that they knew she was there. And I felt like they was protecting her from the public, because if the public found out that Nicole Kessinger was there the night of the 12th up until the early morning of the 13th, it would have been really horrible for her. And that's what she was concerned about. She was concerned about her image. She was concerned about people finding out information about her and Chris. And I believe that's why they were protecting her. That's just my own personal opinion. I don't believe that she was physically involved with those murders whatsoever. I don't even believe she was there when they took place. But Natasha proved that she was there. She was there.
Right. And so their protection is backfiring.
Exactly. Up until the early morning of the 13th. That's what I believe they're protecting her from, and that's why we can't get her phone dumps. That's why we can't get any of that information, because they're protecting her, because they know she was there, but they know that she had no connection with what happened, but they're protecting her from the public. That's what I feel.
Yeah, and can someone explain to me how Nicole Kessinger's phone records or Nicole Kessinger's GPS data, can someone explain to me how that is an invasion of her privacy and therefore not in the public interest? However, we have half-naked pictures of Nicole. I guarantee every single one of us has at least one half-naked picture of Nicole Kessinger in our phone. I know what her nipples look like in that bathing suit. You know what her thighs are like. You know, she's got that thick booty. Like I know all of this shit, but it's against public interest for phone records.
I know.
to be released.
And that's why I say I believe that they knew. They found out she was there, and she might even told them, you know, and I truly believe that they're protecting her from the public, and that's why that information on her was not released, because we already see that her phone pinged at 6:15 a.m. in the morning in Frederick, and I believe they're protecting her. I believe she went back. I don't even believe I believe she went back. I believe she was in a manic stage, that she really believed that she felt like Chris was going to rekindle his marriage. I believe she was afraid that that was going to
Yeah.
happen. I believe she came back. I believe she went
I
back to see him
speculated
be
she
out
did a
there.
drive-by.
Yeah, I feel she did that. Yep, but I do not believe that she had any connection with those murders. I don't believe she was there when any of that took place, but she was there. And I believe that law enforcement knows that she was there, and they're protecting her from the public.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
my
Doing a hell of a job, huh?
it's possible that she was there because then that would match the phone call.
Mhm.
And she probably came over, and Chris probably told her, oh, her flight's delayed. So she probably wanted to get her freak on or something, or she was probably freaking out about something else because this is the 12th. And just days prior to this, Chris gave her the key to her apartment.
Mhm. She
And
sure did. When
He
he
gave
came
Chris
back,
the key, you mean?
yeah,
yeah. When
Yeah.
he came back from North Carolina, she gave him the key to her
yep.
apartment.
She gave him the key to her apartment. And then also, after he left her house that day, he got the key. She was Googling marrying your mistress,
Wedding dresses.
wedding dresses. And then they go to Lazy Dog and apparently talk about fitness and apartment hunting, but doesn't mention the fact. And later, as the interviews go on and as she keeps yapping her mouth, you hear that she's starting to lose the consistency of her story, because first the conversation at Lazy Dog was just about fitness, and then the next interview, the conversation about at Lazy Dog was about fitness and the kids. Then it was about fitness and the kids in the house. Then it was about the fitness and the kids in the house and Shanann and their financial situation. So every time she talks to someone, she adds to the story. So what they talked about, if I were Kobach, I would have asked her, okay, Nicole, you talked about finances or whatever, but when you came home from Lazy Dog, you Googled Ronnie Watts, Shanann Watts, Chris Watts, and 2825 Saratoga Trail. Why did you Google that last night? Or why did you Google that the night before the murders? Why did you Google the address, the home address
Exactly.
of this family? You know, those are some questions. And she can say, oh, I don't know, like I was going to have a quickie with him, you know? I don't care what her reason is, but damn, girl, be honest.
Yes.
Because if you didn't do anything wrong, regardless of what you say, it's not going to be as bad as lying to the
Right.
FBI.
And to tell them that she barely knew him, but you gave him a key to your apartment when he came back from North Carolina. Someone
That's
you
red
barely
flag.
knew. Someone you barely knew. You gave a key to your apartment.
Yeah, so I mean, this is why this case is not just, oh, you know, it was Nutgate.
There
And
was not a trial, and these things would have been discussed, and
Oh, that trial would have been something else.
yeah.
All these talk about people would have been emotionally charged. If they can't stand what people are asking online, they would have hated his defense attorneys.
this would have been a capital case.
Yes.
This would have been a capital case. Rourke was thinking about the death penalty, even though it was never going to happen.
Right.
This was a capital case, and it was going to be worse and bigger than the Scott Peterson trial and the OJ trial and all of that.
Talk about
Because,
global. Oh,
yeah, because there
every
is so much information, that trial would have been the most watched trial in recent history, I think. And the fact that, we didn't get this, and that he pled out without ever, with the prosecution, without the prosecution ever proving that the confession wasn't false.
Exactly. And I heard a lawyer say that when Rourke stands up there and he says that we will never know the truth. And I heard a lawyer comment on that on a YouTube show. He said, well, why not, Rourke?
Mm-hmm.
You are the district attorney. You accepted a plea and you don't know what happened. You don't know the truth of what happened, but you accepted that plea deal.
And you know what? Rather than like ostracizing the true crime community and saying that we're this and that and the other, Rourke is a seasoned district attorney. He's been in office for years and years and years.
Yes, he is.
And we are fresh eyes, and a lot of us are professionals, a lot of us are educated, and when we look at the files and when we're asking these questions, those are the same questions that the jury would be asking.
Yes, they would.
And it's not outrageous to ask those questions. And I don't know, like that just demonstrates to me how incompetent this was just from the beginning.
Yes.
And it was a shocking case. I know that it really had a huge impact on everybody involved. And I'm sure there was a lot of emotions and things like that, But again, as a public official, the district attorney is supposed to be able to put that aside and to be able to recommend to the judge.
And I don't think he did that at all. I mean, look at the judge. I mean, the day of the sentencing, the judge didn't even know of what had happened. And I mean, what had happened. I mean, Rourke made sure that in his ending statement that he said all these things, and the judge was shocked. I'm looking at his face, and even at the end when he said that, you can tell that he didn't even know. He had no idea. So why didn't they present that to him? What happened?
Yeah, did the judge not read the autopsy report?
Exactly. He didn't even know. The judge didn't even know.
Did the judge not know that there were no fibers in any of the girl's lungs, despite Chris saying that he killed him with a blanket? Or that Shanann at that point, or whoever, there were no fibers. But conveniently, as the very first day when Officer Coonrod is walking around the house, he finds a blue glove between pillows that looked like as if they were thrown in the corner of the master bedroom.
Carolyn, that is so true. That is their job. They were supposed to look into everything just in case the defendant is lying. That is true. They didn't.
No, absolutely not.
Yep, the judge was hearing it for the first time. He had never heard it before. And that was shocking to me that he had never heard it before.
And then also with what Chris's attorneys, the defense team, they put in a couple of motions asking or telling the judge that someone in law enforcement was leaking information to the press, because the same night that Chris confessed is when it was leaked to the public. It was in the news that he confessed, and they asked that the department be investigated because that could taint a jury pool. And it could, because his story was not, I don't know. It's just full of these little anomalies. And that's exactly one of the reasons why Scott Peterson will most likely be granted a new trial, because the jury pool was tainted, and the prosecution and the judge and the court did not act accordingly. That's one of the reasons anyways.
And
The
everybody
prosecution,
can't be wrong. Everybody can't be thinking
no.
that it's more to this, and it's not. And everybody is not in the same group of people. I mean, everybody from different places are saying something is wrong with this case. It
Mhm.
was not done right. Why everybody else want to say, well, law enforcement is competent. Really? Are they?
And I think a lot of that might be also, well, I don't know. That's a whole other topic that I'll just say for another time. But I think, a lot of people, it's drawn a global audience. And I
It
think
has.
not a lot of people, especially if you don't follow true crime and you end up in a true crime group after watching a Netflix documentary,
Mm.
Yes.
and you see people analyzing, the evidence and talking about it and stuff like that. I can see where it can be a little bit jarring, like what the hell are these people doing? But understand that that's our hobby and that's what we do. And if you're coming in and this is your first exposure to true crime, it's like, keep an open mind.
And
We're
that's what I
all
had to do.
potential jurors. We're all
Yeah.
potential jurors, and it's not bad. It's not a bad thing to familiarize yourself with the legal process. It's not bad to talk about what your rights are if you ever were to find yourself in that situation. So it's for me, at least, that's what I get out of true crime is I learn and I enjoy analyzing things. Like I'm analytical as well. And so I like to put dots together and learn about human behavior. So yeah, I mean, that's what draws me to true crime.
And when I came in, I had to do the same. I mean, like I said, I've worked with victims of crime, domestic violence, um, of crime. I've always watched it, but I've never been involved in a true crime community. I had never uh, associated myself with a true crime community. Everything that I did was because I loved to look at it, whether it was investigation ID, watching the Jodi Arias case,
Mm.
watching Trayvon Martin, all those cases like that, because something that I enjoyed to do. When I was younger, I wanted to be law enforcement. I had got accepted to the police academy, and my mom talked me out of it. And I regret that to this day because I always wanted to be somewhere in the FBI in Virginia, somewhere, Quantico,
Yeah.
being a part of that, a profiler. Those are things that I always saw myself wanting to do. And I let my mom talk me out of that, but I appreciate being in education and a lot of things that I have done, but I had never been in a true crime community. So when I came in, I definitely came in with an open mind and I came in to learn.
Hmm. And Deja, you're also an advocate. So this isn't your first exposure to true crime. You were actually on the ground.
Right.
You lived true crime. You advocated for murder victims.
Yes, I did.
You advocated for victims to detectives and district attorneys
Yeah,
and judges. So you lived it.
yeah, I did live it. I did. I did. And just, I mean, hearing that, when I hear that, like the education behind it, like keeping an open mind and, emotions are not facts and, you can't eat your emotion. That was my learning part of it, like coming into true crime. Like that is so true. If you're going to be a part of true crime, you cannot allow yourself to be emotionally attached to this. And that's why when you see officers and they look like they have no emotions, no, how can they? If they're investigating a crime, their emotions can't be attached to what is happening. Of course they feel that, but that goes against their investigation. How can they do their job if they are emotionally charged over this situation? So I learned a lot being here also.
Yeah. And just remember, emotions are always subjective.
Yes,
Always.
yes,
So when you're yelling at someone and calling someone names, that it's not going to reach anywhere because you're communicating your subjective experience of your emotions. And I'm not in your head. I can't, this is I don't know. I just get frustrated with that sometimes. So it's like, it's discouraging, and it's especially overwhelming now because we have this wave
Yes.
of, you know,
It's
newbies coming in and
it's a
just
new wave of discussing the case. Some channels are going over everything, or a lot are going over from the beginning because they're gaining new YouTube subscribers because of the Netflix documentary, and not being familiar with everything, asking questions and saying, "Oh, you know, can you go over this?" So that's they're going to be in for a shock if new people who find an interest in this particular case come and they say, "Oh," and they go to a channel and all they see is stop talking about the case. That's just going to look weird.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but you know, every single one of them uses hashtags
Yeah,
in order to be discovered easier.
that's true.
So I don't know. It's like, it's just, it's a contradiction.
It is. And that's why I was upset about these people running around calling themselves advocates. It's like when you're dealing with somebody who has been victimized, or a family that has have had a loved one murdered, last thing you want to do is exploit them, and or even show yourself as a unprofessional. And what I've seen on YouTube, and it actually made me not want to say anything about being an advocate. You know, it took me a long time, as you know, Natasha, for me to even say that, you know, I am an advocate. I am a certified advocate. You know, I have been doing this for a long time, because what I started seeing, it was shameful. But then I couldn't just sit there and not say anything, because advocacy in the real world is respected. Advocates are truly respected. They're respected among law enforcement. They are highly respected, and the stuff that I see going around on YouTube is terrible. And I want people to know that is not what advocates do in the real world. That is not how they conduct themselves. That is, you would never see an advocate acting like that, sitting on their channel, swearing and telling people that are victims they can shove something up their ass and they're not victims. And, you know, your attitude proves that you're not a victim. So if you say certain things, you're not a victim. No, that's not. That's not. And when you are affected by a crime and you need help, and you know your mind and you can't think, you need someone to come in and help you, not to speak for you unless and you just can't speak for yourself, but to help you get through what you're going through. And I just want people to know that in the real world, we don't act like that. That's not how we act. We are very professional, because we're dealing with professionals. You know, you are not going to stand before a district attorney or a chief district attorney, assistant district attorney, a judge, or anybody in the law enforcement world, and act and speak like that and think that they're going to give you information or respect you. They're not. So I just want people to know that that's not how we act in the real world. That's not how advocates act. You will never have an advocate act like that for you. And if you do, run. Run.
Yeah, because
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I had to throw her in.
That is so funny every time I hear that. And that's true. Ain't nobody got time for that.
No, ma'am. Yeah, so
If there's a different case going forward, and they're thinking about not having a trial, I would run the other way towards a trial after this.
right?
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree, Rachel.
But they
Deja
do.
and
But they do.
Natasha.
The real world, they do. They have people who really respect their position as being an advocate, and they don't act like that. I have never ran across a victim's advocate that has displayed the type of character I've seen on YouTube. Never.
Yeah.
Never. And you won't. You will not. You will not find that. And if you do, I don't care if they show you a 40-hour certification, run for the hills.
Yeah.
Run for the hills. You don't want that in your life. You don't have time for that. No.
No.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I love her. She also has a song.
She does.
Does
I haven't
she?
heard the song.
It's not a
No.
song. I mean, there's this YouTube channel, and what they do is they turn like really funny news clips into songs, and by just like auto-tuning their voice, or I don't know if you've heard of the Bed Intruder song.
Mm-mm.
Oh God, that's another one.
Play
Antoine
it. Somebody
Dodson.
said play it. I agree. Play it.
It's her song. Yeah, I
Ain't nobody got time for that. Yeah, play the
Okay,
song.
hold on. I gotta find her. Oh, ain't nobody got time for that.
I gotta go after this, but I want to wait and hear the song.
Okay.
All right. 1 second.
No pressure.
And I think I'm gonna get off after.
Yes.
Too,
This has been really awesome.
Yes, and I think this was a great conversation. This
It
is
has
a
been.
even better ending to
Sorry,
it.
I've been doing
It
more
has.
listening than speaking, but
Yeah. No, you did great speaking. What you said was awesome, especially about last night.
Yeah,
oh, thank you.
I appreciate you.
I do
being-
too, Stephanie.
Can you guys see this?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Are we ready? Oh, hold on.
Here we
I
go.
Here we go.
All right.
One resident describes her horrifying experience when she first realized the complex was on fire.
Yeah, I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Oh,
The sound went out.
yeah, I don't hear it anymore.
Yeah.
That was so
I
funny.
know. The sound went out, Natasha.
Sweet brown. I can't hear it, but I can
can't hear
imagine.
it either. I can't hear it.
Wait, you guys couldn't hear it?
No.
No,
Can't hear it.
but I saw these funny things going on, and then you could see her saying, "Ain't nobody got time for that."
Whoa! How do you not hear it? Let me try again.
Okay.
It's too important to miss.
It is.
I feel so bad now.
The sound just went out.
Oh, okay. Well, let's try again.
Okay.
All right.
One resident describes her horrifying experience
Can you
when she
hear it?
first realized
Yes, now I can, but
I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Well, cold pot. Then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Then I ran out. I didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus. I ran for my life. Ain't nobody nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Lord Jesus is a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus is a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus is a fire. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus is a fire. Lord Jesus is a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus is a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus is a fire. Jesus, 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 Jesus. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Now tell me that is not.
That was great.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
That was awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I ran for my life.
Oh my goodness, you're so good at those impressions, Dr. B.
That's because I probably heard it 60 million times out of the 64 million views that it got.
I know, now I gotta go get that so I could relive it.
It's in my head as well, yes. All right, well, ladies, thank you so much for...
You're welcome. Thank you for doing the live.
Yes, I'm
Thanks
excited.
for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. I think I gotta take a break from this, though. It's overwhelming.
It is,
It
especially...
is overwhelming.
Yeah, I'm like pacing around. We're starting to have our group calls more often. That means we're all kind of like
Yes.
overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. It is overwhelming. The flood after that Netflix documentary. Oh my goodness! Like I said, a lot of things I just pass up now. I don't even comment. That's just how overwhelming it is. And 9 months to 2 years is nothing. So like I said, God bless you all. Has been here for 2 years. Oh my goodness, I could not imagine.
That's why I'm gonna tell every newbie they come. I'm just gonna say, you know, I didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus.
On that note.
Yes, on that note.
Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Good night,
Goodbye,
everyone.
chat.
Bye. Bye, chat.
Bye.
Bye, chat. Night.